This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 2 of our series, Everyday Stoicism, Mastering Emotional Resilience. In this episode, titled Daily Practices for Calm and Clarity, we'll explore some powerful Stoic techniques you can incorporate into your daily routine to enhance your mental well-being. So, if you're ready to find more peace and clarity in your life, let's dive in. Right now, somewhere in the world, a stressed-out employee just lost their train of thought because of a notification. Not a crisis, not an emergency, a tiny ping. Here's the strange part. Your brain treats that flicker of noise almost like a threat. Why? And can we train it not to? Stoic philosophers faced constant noise too. Crowded markets, political upheaval, personal loss. Yet they developed tiny rituals to keep a clear head in the middle of chaos. What's striking is how small most of those practices are. A sentence to yourself when you wake up. A brief check-in before a meeting. A 90-second reset in the middle of a stressful conversation. They treated these like mental hygiene, not dramatic, just daily. Modern psychology quietly agrees. Short, deliberate shifts in attention and framing can interrupt spirals, cool emotional heat, and return you to the driver's seat. You don't need an hour-long routine or a silent retreat. You need a handful of repeatable moves that fit into a commute, a lunch break, or the 3 minutes before you open an email you're dreading. This episode is about building that tiny, portable Stoic toolkit. Think of today as a small lab for your mind. You don't have to wait for a crisis to test these ideas. The real value shows up in annoyances so minor you'd normally shrug them off. The slow-loading web page. The colleague who's 5 minutes late. The sink full of dishes that shouldn't be your problem. Each is a tiny crossroads. React on autopilot, or pause and choose a response. We'll plug Stoic exercises into these micro moments so they become quiet upgrades to things you already do. Brushing your teeth, unlocking your phone, walking to the kitchen. Until calm and clarity feel like your system default. Let's start with the morning, because it's where most of us lose the plot before the day even begins. Research on implementation intentions shows that a tiny, very specific mental script in the morning can shape what you actually do hours later. So instead of a vague, "I want to be calmer today," you'd quietly set a Stoic-style intention like, "When I open my laptop, I'll pause and choose my first task on purpose, not by instinct." It takes 5 seconds, but you're quietly telling your brain, this is how we're going to show up. Layer 1. Morning check-in. Before you look at a screen, finish brushing your teeth or your first sip of coffee and ask, what kind of person do I want to be in the difficult moments today? Not in life, today. Maybe it's patient with delays, or clear when I say no. Pick one quality. That becomes your headline for the day. Layer 2. The 90-second reset. Sometime before lunch, you'll feel the familiar surge. Tight chest, racing thoughts, maybe anger or dread. That's your cue for a short breathing interval, plus a quick pass through the dichotomy of control. 1. Breathe slowly. In for 4, out for 6, about 10 rounds. 2. Ask 3 rapid questions. What here is completely outside my control? What's partly under my influence? What's fully up to me in the next 10 minutes? You're not trying to feel zen. You're sorting. Many people find that simply naming the outside my control column takes the edge off enough to think straight about the rest. Layer 3. Negative visualization in motion. Pick one routine walk, maybe to the bathroom, the kettle, or the car. On that walk, once a day, quietly run a 30-second drill. If this meeting goes badly, this plan falls through, this person says no, then what? Not catastrophizing, but previewing. This gives your mind a second path, so you're less shocked if things tilt. Layer 4. Evening debrief. When you're about to close your laptop or turn off the light, replay one moment you're not proud of and one you are. Ask, what was I aiming for? What did I actually do? What's one small adjustment for next time? No self-attacks, just course correction. Over a couple of weeks, these small loops add up to a quieter, more deliberate way of moving through the day. A useful way to see these practices is through how they quietly reshape ordinary days. Take someone commuting on a packed train. Instead of scrolling, they pick one quality for the day, steady under pressure, and repeat it while the carriage jolts and people bump into them. Later, when a meeting heats up, that phrase is already primed, like a mental shortcut. They feel the surge, do the brief breathing drill under the table, and answer one direct question instead of defending everything at once. Or think of a parent stuck in bedtime chaos. Toys everywhere, sibling arguments, emails pinging in the background. On the walk down the hallway, they run a quick, if this unravels, then what, preview. When the toddler melts down, it's annoying, but not shocking. They had a script ready, so they lower their voice instead of matching the volume. Over a couple of weeks, these small moves don't just change reactions, they shift identity. You're no longer someone who's always on edge, but someone who returns to center, repeatedly, on purpose. If enough people adopt these tiny practices, workplaces and classrooms may quietly reconfigure around them. Meetings could open with a brief, what's in our control, scan, like tuning instruments before a concert. Kids might treat a tough exam as terrain to navigate, not a verdict on worth. Over time, aggregated data from wearables and journals could let you see your inner life plotted like a map, showing routes where a 2-minute reset reliably prevents an afternoon emotional traffic jam. Over time, these experiments become less like techniques and more like the way you move through your schedule. Subtle adjustments, like turning down a dimmer switch rather than flipping a dramatic on-off. The next episodes will zoom in on each practice, stress test it in messy real life, and help you customize a version that fits your personality, not someone else's routine. Start with this tiny habit. When you first touch your phone in the morning, pause and take one slow breath while you notice the exact feeling of your feet on the floor. As the kettle, coffee maker turns on, rest one hand on your chest and silently name just one thing you're genuinely relieved about today, even something small, like, I have coffee, or, I don't have an early meeting. Before you open your inbox, gently roll your shoulders back once and ask yourself out loud, what's the one thing that actually matters for my calm today? Then move on. No extra steps, no journaling, just those tiny check-ins. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!